So Jerry, what do you think are some of the most important things that you were able to accomplish in your career?
Would you repeat that?
Sure. What do you think were some of the more important things that you accomplished in your career?
I think the elimination of 800 job descriptions at the Boeing company affected more people. Probably 10,000 people were affected during that stay. I think the purchase of the properties at each end of our territory, north and south, did a lot to bring the membership closer to the office. They could get response quicker. They could get a business representative quicker. They didn't have to call Seattle and the guy had to get in his car and drive down to Auburn. He was in Auburn already. He could get into the plant in just minutes. I think that helped. I like to believe that the two conversations or times that I was able to talk to congressional committees was an important change, an important attitude change by Congress. The installation of the computers on a timely basis was when we had a strike coming up. I think if we had not been able to produce those checks on our own computer and get them out to the membership, it might have had a disastrous effect on the outcome of any votes. People had to vote knowing they're not going to get any more money. They're going to stay out, they're not going to get any more strike money. Not a member that was entitled to a check was left out of the system. The retaining of the HUD housing by 751, where there's still a potential down the road for 751 to make quite a few millions of dollars once those projects get paid off. They're 40-year negotiations in contracts. Those are probably the most important changes, unless it would be the change of the language and the order of your pay scale. We also, during this time, got our COLA cost of living changes. What was my personal involvement in a lot of those things? Number one, I spent the last 60 hours of one negotiating the changes in job titles. We at least physically sat at the table for 60 hours. And we got something accomplished for it.
That's great. It's really great, Jerry. Now, since you've been retired, what have you been doing and how are you enjoying retirement?
Yeah, I had a good time working for the union. I believe, and I have believed, that if you can't do a job well, then don't do it at all. And after that negotiations in Louisiana, I got tired physically, mentally, from the variety of jobs and the amount of distance I traveled. I drove 1 year in a car 60,000 miles. I flew 1 year 100,000 miles in flying. And it wears on you. And I woke up one morning and I said, I think I've done as good a job as I can do for the union. But I'm not going to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning again and go out and handbill. when it's pouring down rain and the water's up to your knees. So I called up my boss at that time and said, I just wanted you to be the first to know I'm going to retire. And I retired.
Well, Jerry, it's been great talking to you, and thank you for your leadership.
Yeah, if we had something like a second or third chance, you could do a better job because you would put things in order.
Yeah.
To talk about some of the people that I worked with over the years in 751 and outside. My second run for Secretary-Treasurer was run with the confidence and the support and the liking of a gentleman named Al Whiting. Al Whiting was not a yeller, a screamer. People would say he took things too lightly. He didn't take them lightly, but he didn't believe that one person could outshout another person and that was going to gain anything. He was one of the nicest guys you'd ever want to meet when you really got to know him. The nicest thing I can say is one of the nicest guys I've worked with. We had an agreement between between Bill Waccama when he was president and Al Whiting when he was president, was that they, as presidents of 751, would run and be responsible for the contract. And any employee that's under that contract that's got a problem, they're responsible to resolve it. The Secretary of Treasurer's office ran the facilities. We got the calls, as my wife can attest to, at midnight saying my toilet's plugged up in the Weller Street complex. Can you come down and unplug it? We had a lot of nights interrupted over the housing development. I'm running down now.
Well, that's a nice tribute to Al. He is a gentleman.